Welcome, critters! I'm Claire Jones, your devoted host of the Sacred Reading CR podcast, where we discuss and examine critical role episodes, plot lines, and characters and players through the lens of sacred reading practices. This particular episode is about Campaign 1, Episode 48, Part 1, and joining me today is Atlas.
Hello.
Sometimes I find myself doing that intro in other podcasts, and I'm like, this is not the right one. The icebreaker that I just found is, what game show do you think you could win?
Honestly, probably Jeopardy.
Really?
I adore an inane fact that has no purpose whatsoever, um, and tend to remember them well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those like, don't ask me to come up with a fun fact, I'll never think of one. But if you ask
Mm.
me a weird question, I probably know the answer.
Yeah, yeah. The problem with Jeopardy for me is that the categories are too broad. Like I can't
Mm,
guarantee that I would do well in many of the categories. If they were very specific categories, yes.
that's fair. I feel like Jeopardy tends towards the nerdy enough that I would be okay with the broad categories.
Yeah.
It's when it's like Trivial Pursuit style and there's the whole sports category that is a mystery to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That not so much.
Yeah.
Jeopardy, I tend to feel like I would have better luck with.
Yeah. It's like I think it's like more of the political history that I would fail at and
Yeah.
sports and like very specific science stuff.
Yeah, see, that's all kind of the stuff that's more in my wheelhouse. Thus,
hmm
Jeopardy is a good fit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been thinking a lot about that game show where you hear like the first second of a song and you have to name the song. I think I would be really good at that.
I would fail so epically at that. Half the time, I can't identify a song when we're 3 minutes in and I've heard 95% of the lyrics. I still don't know what song it is.
So, because music streaming services suck these days, I've been revisiting my old Pandora account,
Hmm.
and it's filled with all of these playlists and stations that were like college age Claire plus like briefly post college age Claire. And
Hmm.
so I've been getting such great entertainment out of just putting it all on shuffle and seeing what shows up. And 9 times out of 10, I can guess the song in the first second of whatever it is. I'm like, oh my God, it's that. And I'm like, how did I retain that information?
It's amazing what we managed to hold on to.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even think that show is on anymore, but I think it'd be fun. Or what was that one on like Nickelodeon back in the day? The like Lost Raiders or whatever that
Oh, I
was.
have no idea.
The Tomb of the Lost Raiders. Is that a Laura Croft thing? Am I mixing up my pop cultural references?
Whatever it was before my time.
They had snot, okay? It was important. Important to my canon. Please join us as we embark on this exciting adventure in story analysis and self-reflection in order to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As always, we love hearing your own insights and stories as well. So please comment, like, subscribe below, and ready? All right, let's dive in. So, as we open this episode, Vox Machina is in the process of traveling from Restron to the Frostweald in mist form in order to find the Sphinx's mate, which will hopefully tell them more about the vestiges that they are after. They notice a tent city below filled with refugees that have escaped Westruun since the occupation by the Herd of Storms and the Dragon. So while they are surveying the scene from a distance, Vex and Vax spot Dresvina, who had assigned the party on a mission when they first came together way back before the stream started. The party's history with Elowen, Brist, and her son Simon gains them entrance to the camp, although they are quite suspicious of them at first. And Elwyn refers them to Cornelius, who is the camp's apparent de facto leader. Cornelius tells the party that the camp has been harassed by orcs. The party offers to help transport some of the refugees to Whitestone, but Cornelius is unwilling to leave before the return of the scouting parties that have been sent out to deal with the orcs. They were reportedly based out of the Frostweald, so Vox Machina agrees to take care of the situation since they are headed that way anyway. Keyleth uses all of her spells for the rest of the evening to heal those that need it in the camp, focusing on the children and infirm. They also give two notes to Elwyn, who will travel to Whitestone, one for Cassandra to explain the refugees' arrival, and one to Pike to ask her to come to help them. The next morning, Vex flies on her broom and finds a suitable tree for Keyleth's transport via plant spell, about 30 minutes walk from camp, and then she falls off of it while trying to show off for the children in the camp, but minorly saves her landing, although she does take some damage. Elwyn and some of the other refugees make the trek and are transported to Whitestone successfully. Before the party leaves camp, Dresvina and an older gentleman approach them. The older man introduces himself as Master Quail, and he would like the party to retrieve a circlet from his home in Westron that is vital to his experimental research in exchange for another item from his collection. During the conversation, Pike appears via the gate stone that they share. They ask Qual if he knows anything about a sphinx in the area or about the vestiges of divergence. He says he doesn't know much, but lends them an item that detects any nearby magical items, which Scanlan nicknames the Hunk of Qual. Qual insists that they return the item to him, and Grog promises that they will find his item in Westron. Scanlan suggests that they could just send Vex into the city on her broom solo and find it now, but Percy objects strongly, pointing to the fact that she literally just fell off of it. They ask Pike how Whitestone is, and Grog brings her up to speed on the occupation of Westron and gives her his gauntlets of ogre power, which means that she is now stronger than Grog as her little gnome. We love to see it. After a day of travel, Vex agrees that they need some rest, and Percy asks if she has a concussion. Scanlan creates his magnificent mansion and shows Pike to her lavish quarters, which are covered in rose petals and situated right next to his, of course. She asks if there's a lock on the door that separates their rooms, and he tells her that it's only on his side of the door. But then he also tells Pike about his concerns for Grog's sword. Vex takes Vax aside and asks him why he's been avoiding Pike. She suspects it's because of the Raven Queen situation and tells him all of the things that she's read about the Raven Queen in the book that she bought. She doesn't think that the goddess actually seems that bad at all. And he tells her that the Raven Queen is already speaking to him, but his feelings about it don't matter because he would still offer his life to save Vex's again. Vex wants him to be happy about being the champion of the god, and he says he'll take whatever she says under consideration. That evening, Keyleth also helps Percy tinker a metal herb pouch sachet thing. At breakfast, Keela throws a chicken into the air for Vex to use as more target practice, and she gets the idea to practice on her broom, so Scanlan commands some of the mansion service to throw chickens into the air for her. While this is going on, Vex becomes distracted by the broom and shoots a chicken, but also pierces through Scanlan's neck in the process. Chaos ensues. The party travels south for another day into the forest where the temperature is much colder and snow has accumulated, so much so that it is deep enough that Grog offers to carry the gnomes. They come upon a clearing with a stone obelisk carved with an ancient symbol of Ioun and a hollow pyramid shape set in it. Scanlan sees several broken statues nearby. Keyleth melts some of the snow and finds more broken statues, and Percy warns everyone to back away right now. And that's where they break for the episode. So, what do we think of this first half?
I think this is a fun episode, not a dramatic one. So it's not super plot heavy, but it has a little bit of everything D&D wise. Um, so we get a little bit of serious, a little bit of background lore that, we as viewers never got to see.
Yeah,
Um, and a little bit of shenanigans, which is,
always welcome.
D&D hallmark. And by far, I think the most iconic part of the first half of this episode.
Yeah, yeah, we do love to see the shenanigans, and they've been
Yeah.
needing a little bit of lightheartedness after how much heaviness they've
Yes.
been going through.
Yeah, and I think having little moments with the refugees that are lighthearted help lead into the group letting off a little bit of steam.
Yeah,
We get the introduction of Simon to Simon Jr., which
yeah,
is adorable and so sweet. And Liam's so good at bringing that kind part of himself to the surface in moments like this. And I really appreciate that because it's so easy to fall into role play for a purpose.
yeah,
We're on a quest. We are only role playing to find what we need, but this group does take the time to create the sweet moments, to create the little bits of levity. And I think that makes their story a lot richer. And a lot of times, Liam initiates some of those, like some of the most iconic of those moments.
yeah,
Um, and it's super simple, it's super quick, but it really does lift up the tone of this whole story and this whole episode and makes it feel more about the player's journey than about the heavy story that they've been stuck in for a couple episodes. And
hmm
I appreciate that.
yeah, yeah. I think this is a huge contrast to the whole Gurn Blanston
Mm-hmm.
episode.
Yeah.
Especially in the way that Matthew is setting up the story for the players.
Yes.
He's not rushing them, he's letting them play, and that's why we do get this breathing room for them. And I think that he is also getting to the point in this campaign and in this whole series of I can trust my players
Mm-hmm.
to take the reins sometimes. Like I was actually watching an interview with Matthew this week. It was the last meal one. I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
watched that
Yeah.
one. And he was talking about the Mercer effect that is very popular online, about how a lot of people go into D&D games after watching Critical Role, expecting that their DM is going to be as good as Matthew Mercer, and then they're disappointed when their DM isn't. And Matthew made such a great point of saying, like, well, if they're expecting their DM to be Matt Mercer, then they have to expect themselves to be Laura Bailey and Ashley Johnson and Liam
Mm-hmm.
O'Brien and all of these amazing actors that are part of the Critical Role cast. And I think this is one of those perfect episodes where we see that in action of the players
Yeah.
stepping up to carry the story.
Mm-hmm. I think the other part of that we see this episode is Matt. It took Matt a while to become Matthew Mercer.
Hmm,
Um,
yeah,
and we're finally starting to see that play out in ways where these are the kinds of DM moves that really make him the DM he is. Um, and this is where they start to work. This is where they start to really make a difference on the story and turn it into something incredible. And
yeah,
don't get me wrong, the story before this has been great. This is where it starts to become a cultural phenomenon because of the players, because of the DM, because it's all working together.
yeah.
None of this works if any one factor changes.
Yeah, I mean, the players could have easily not talk to the refugees.
Hmm.
You know, I imagine that there are many groups out there that would have been like, "Oh, it's a refugee camp. Okay." And then they move on with, like you said, that single-minded purpose of whatever
Yep.
their goal is in the moment.
Yeah.
But this group of players is also very intent on being like, "Well, let us explore this world that has been
Hmm.
set up for us."
Yeah. And they've got some people who really like to investigate everything and,
Mm,
push that red button if it exists. And I think that helps them here because there are so many other avenues where the safe bet is to just keep moving. You're in mist form, you have that expedited bit of travel for however much longer you have it. You can get closer to your ultimate goal, or you can stop and engage with the world. And that's what they choose to do. And a lot of groups wouldn't,
yeah.
or the risk of giving up that expedited travel would be too much for them. And that's fine. Like we know there are a ton of different play styles. Even within this group, within Critical Role, we see different play styles, we see different priorities, we see different ways of engaging with the world and the story. And it really helps to have that variety. Part of why we do stop and explore the world is because we have people who that matters to.
Yeah.
And
Like,
so it just builds it out and makes the story better to have that kind of variety.
how many players would have done what Keyleth did and heal the refugees too?
Right, because you don't know if you might, end up in a fight or end up defending the refugees. You might need those spell slots overnight to use up all your spells to
Yeah.
heal people.
Yeah.
It's an incredible character choice. It's not a typical D&D
Yeah.
choice.
It is not resource management coded.
Absolutely not.
And I think that's the same what you said about the mist spell is like they're not focused on the resource management aspects of the game at this point in time of the
Right.
episode. Like there's a time and a place to be resource minded, but there's also a time and a place for trying things out, messing around, falling off a broom, getting shot in the
Hmm.
neck. Like there's room for play too.
Yeah, and it's what makes like you got to do what makes it fun for you. If resource management is that, play with a group that values resource management.
Yeah.
Play with a group that is about the strategy and the conservation of spell slots and all of that. Play with a min-max group if that's what works for you, but that's not what this story is. And I think we see some critiques of these episodes, especially where things are not optimal or, they're taking too long to get somewhere. That's because that's what this story is for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
That's the kind of game that they want to play. And I think that that's an important distinction for a lot of people to have to make is this is their game and they're playing it the way that builds the story they want to tell. It is a great story. There's a reason it has an audience, but it's because they are telling it the way they want to.
And I also love the emphasis on relationships in this first
Yes.
half as well. Not only interrelationships in the group, but those callbacks that we have to
Hmm.
pre-stream relationships as well. Because I think that's also something that is often undermined or neglected in other campaigns or other games, other story setups, is like, I'm just using this person for a reason. I'm not
Hmm.
interested in seeing all of the different facets of what a relationship could be like with this person. Like we see this all the time when it comes to like tavern keepers. You know what I mean? We come into like, do you know
Yeah.
anything about X? And they're like, what? Like there it's not
Yeah.
a interaction mode on a video game, right?
Right.
And I think that's also what adds to the multidimensionality of this campaign and of this Critical
Hmm.
Role as a whole, is that there's not a set formula for how the interactions have to go, or how the relationships have to go, or even just how the actions have to go, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's also an incredibly real point of this storytelling that's happening where people are not making the optimal choices, they're making the choices that matter to them. And that goes for everybody in this scene. It goes for the players that we've already touched on, but it's also the NPCs who are choosing to stay in a suboptimal place because there are people they care about that are still there. They are
Yeah.
choosing to make choices that feel real
Mm-hmm.
because they're not optimal.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an incredible storytelling device. Like
Mm-hmm.
making characters make choices that feel messy, that feel complicated. You know, they have an out, they have an offer to go to Whitestone where they are protected from dragons. They are choosing this muddy refugee camp for 9 to 20 people, depending on how you count it.
Yeah.
Like that, they are there for each other as a support group. It is a messy choice, but it is their choice. And I love that bit of storytelling.
Yeah. And I also just love the intergroup relationship stuff going on right
Hmm.
now too. Like I was so
Yeah.
pleased with the Percy and Vex stuff going on in this first
I
half.
love the
I
Percy
was
and Vex
like,
stuff.
oh.
Yeah. Well, and having Pike back and interacting with the
Yes.
group also is
Yes.
so nice.
I
I
love
love
this.
every time it
I
happens.
love the Pike and Scanlan
Yes.
interactions when we do get them. Even though Scanlan's being his facade ass that he is,
Hmm.
we see how it can possibly develop over time too. It's
Yes.
not two-dimensional. It's not one-dimensional between them.
Well, that's kind of what we see with Percy and Vex too, is we see the potential of it,
Hmm.
but we see them, the two of sets of people in contrast with one another. And so there's potential just shown in very different ways in and it they play out in very different ways too. They're so personal. It's not boilerplate in any way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's a lot of fun. But also, I am such a Percy and Vex diehard that like
Yes.
any snippet just makes me so
Absolutely.
happy.
Yeah. Persalia all the way.
Oh yeah.
Um, And I think, the Pike and Scanlan interaction, I think, is super important, even though it's easy to glaze over because
Mhm.
of his bravado that he has on his facade. Like, I've talked about this multiple times about how deep of a character Scanlan actually is, but he hides
Yeah.
it so much. And I think it's so telling that, like, after the whole bravado of, like, our rooms are connected and you're welcome anytime shifts into, like, okay, but I'm really worried about Grog. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he doesn't maintain it the entire time. It's just an act that
Hmm.
he props up as a recurring joke.
Well, and breaking out of it is what makes it obvious that it is an act and makes
Yeah.
it feel like there's someplace for this relationship to go.
Yeah.
And it makes like the character feel 10 times deeper because he does break it occasionally. You know, it's when playing an RPG, it's so easy to fall into, my character is keeping up a facade, and so I have to do that the entire time.
Yeah.
But if you do that, that becomes the entirety of your character.
Yeah.
Letting some of those things to the surface around your group, around your you know, favorite like table partner or whatever that looks like for you is what makes the story a story and not
Hmm.
just something you have in your head. And I think that that is one of the keys to this work, the relationships between Scanlan and Pike really working and holding the weight that they do, is that Sam is playing a really nuanced character and Ashley is playing a really nuanced character.
Hmm.
And it takes the two of them to really build something out that does feel special when they do interact, especially because they both care so much about Grog and we
Yeah.
know this and we can see this. And it is a bit of a cornerstone of their relationship, and that their relationship with each other, playing off of their individual relationships with Grog, playing off of their relationships to the rest of the group, is what really makes these interactions feel special.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that dimensionality for sure.
Yes.
And I think I even see this with the Keyleth and Percy tinkering together
Hmm.
thing. Like it's a very, very, very short. It's even shorter than the Scanlan Pike interaction in
Yeah.
game. I think it's like only maybe a couple sentences back and forth where they decide to tinker together. But they're both like, "Do you want to escape to a quiet room and nerd out?" And they're like, "Yes, like that's exactly what I want to do right now." And then
Yeah,
that's the end of the scene together. And I think that that is also just so precious in itself,
it
too.
is. Yeah. I actually really love their relationship. Like it's complicated, but it's so much fun and they are such good friends in spite of all of their differences. So it's really fun to watch when they do, turn into nerdy introverts and go, I would like to hide. Would you like to hide?
Hmm.
Great.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and the end of this first half is such a great setup for getting back into the action
Hmm.
of being like, oh, we have really serious clues here. We have a really serious mission here. We had a bit of a breather, we had a bit of a laugh, we had a bit of a break, a rest, but now we're getting back into the game.
Yeah. It's words. I think that's part of why at the top I called it a little bit of a um, overarching idea of what D&D is. It's a little bit of everything because it does kind of do this cycle where we're coming back to we have a great hook to come back to post break,
Yeah.
and that hook does so much work, but it also like brings the tone back to where it needs to be. We've had our moment of silly, we've had our moment of sincere, we've had everything else that has come in this first half. We've refocused now. We are now doing D&D for real.
Hmm.
You know,
I love it. Any personal experiences coming to mind?
I think the thing that came up for me was the way that the refugee group interacted with each other.
Mm,
Um, it has been in many ways a tumultuous year. Um, and seeing how people respond to crisis is unfortunately something that we've become very aware of.
hmm.
Having that support group, having that, central group of people that whatever else is going on in the world, those five people are out looking for you is so special. Um, and I think one of the things that came up for me recently is, you know, having a protest buddy, having somebody to go places with who I know can watch my back, or I know if I don't text them when I get home is gonna know to look for me. So seeing the way that the refugees responded to having a couple people missing, even if it is just a couple people and just not leaving, they're there anyway, really tied into my recent experiences with having a support group that isn't necessarily at the protest with me or at, an event, but is there knowing where I am, knowing they need to wait for me and watch out for me. And that in itself is such a valuable piece of support for people who are choosing to take actions that maybe you yourself don't feel up to.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely relate to that. I had a friend reach out earlier this week of being like, you were kind of negative last time we talked, and so I'm just checking in to see, like, are you good?
Yeah.
Are you still floating over there?
Yeah. Those are such important friendships to have, though.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. In my own D&D campaign that I run, my players have finally reached the point, and I'm so happy that they did, and I don't think that they know how happy I am, is that they finally reached the point of like, what are we doing? Of like, what is the overarching goal? Because they've just been having so much fun exploring the world
Yeah.
at this point. And so I'm just so glad that they've gotten to that stage because they've been so focused on like, we need to return this, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to
Mhm.
do the like this is what we're focusing on. And it's so narrow of a focus that I believe this whole like exploring the world around them is a good developmental point to reach of being like, yes, this is
Yeah.
It's a side quest of a side quest of a side quest, and I specifically set it up that way so that you do end up getting distracted instead of just being like, all right, level two, all right, level three, all right, level four, like
Yeah,
it's the journey at the end of the day. It's not the destination necessarily. I mean,
that's very fair.
DM, I also don't have a plan for the destination yet.
Uh, DM secrets. We don't
I know.
generally know what's going on.
I know, because ultimately their big goal is to make it back home. That's
Right.
what they need to do. However, I don't know what I'm going to do with the story once they make it back home. And so
Uh,
I'm just like, all right, they get kidnapped by pirates. That's a side quest. Oh, they've decided to unionize the pirate organization and take it over. Okay.
oh, D&D groups.
And then I threw in a cursed item. I was like, here's another problem to deal with.
Nice.
And so then they went on a side quest for the cursed item. And so now they're on a side quest of the side quest of the cursed item. And yeah, they finally got to the point of like, what are we trying to do here? And I was just like,
Yeah.
it was great. Um, because honestly, life feels like that sometimes. Like
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's not, it can be very satisfying to be like, all right, check, 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 did this, accomplished that, next level, did this, accomplished that, next level. But life doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So I think we often just have to learn this joy of the journey and the side quests and
Hmm.
exploring the world because it's a myopic focus
Yeah.
that kind of leads to inevitable disappointment too when you're not able to look around you.
Yeah.
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 It's a very side quest heavy life that we live in.
True.
I feel like even simple tasks end up that way though, too. Like cleaning my apartment, I run into something that needs to be taken care of. In order to take care of that one thing, I have to do another thing. In order to do that other thing, I have to do this other thing.
And it's been sitting for 6 months because there's 7,000 side quests to get it done.
Right? I'm like, okay, let's focus on that thing first and then move back to this thing and then move back to this thing and then I can
Yeah.
finally move that fucking lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, life is all about the side quests.
Side quests are good for you, though.
Hmm. It is, it is. And I think you're right in the sense of like it's all about the relationships along the way too that
Hmm.
you bring along with those side quests because relationships in themselves are side quests too.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what do we want to do about it?
So for me, I think it was the call to pay attention to the relationships.
Hmm.
Um, they do provide so much good in this episode of like they are the levity, they are also the support. They are the thing that makes the story work. They are the thing that makes this world work. And I have a habit when I am stressed and or busy of neglecting my various relationships. Um, and so it is a reminder to reach out to the people and to, keep in touch more than I have.
Yeah,
Because it's
for
the
sure.
first thing that I let go,
I
the
completely
easiest thing
get
to let
that.
go.
I
Yeah.
definitely relate with that for sure. I've been having to make more of an effort to be like, all right, let's actually schedule time to get together instead of
Hmm.
me just thinking about it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like for me, I moved states a year ago at this point. Have I built up relationships here? Not nearly as much as I should have.
Mm,
It's so much easier to maintain long distance friendships that require a text or a phone call here and there than to actually go out and meet people and build new ones.
hmm
Um, so my goal for this year is to, get more connected to my actual physical community that,
hmm
I live in, and make friendships and connections here to build up the relationships that are physically close by. Um, and so it's, maintain the ones you've got, but also if they're not the ones you need, build something new.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely, that's part of the whole like, all right, let's actually schedule coffees with
Hmm.
these new people that I've met
Yep.
instead of just meeting them once and then like never contacting them again, too.
Yep.
Of being like, hey, I do want to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many people, me included, tend to default to well, if they wanted to do something, they'd reach out to me. They're
Yeah.
thinking the same damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So be the initiative. of,
Initiator.
there we go.
Hmm.
Claire's better at words than I am.
It's like it's my job or something. I don't know.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, yes to relationships, yes to scheduling time. I was having a conversation with this friend that reached out to me earlier this week, about valuing all of the emotions that we feel as well. Um, Kind of adjacent to this whole like value the side quests conversation is like value the emotions that come up with the side quests as
yeah.
well. Um, because I have a tendency to get very frustrated because I am impatient as a
Hmm.
person. And when I can't check things off the list quickly enough, I do tend to, resentment, frustration. There's a lot of spite involved sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, and I think it's, part of my practice right now is like, A, recognizing when I accidentally let resentment and frustration take over my mood, but also not discounting it either.
Yeah,
To find balance between the two.
it is. But it doesn't mean that doesn't have its purpose.
Yeah, exactly. And being like, okay, I see you over there, and you're not allowed to drive the car right now.
Hmm.
However, what can I do to, if not fix you, appease you in some shape or
Yeah.
form?
Yeah.
Um,
Appease you or use you. You
yeah,
know, where
yeah,
can you be fuel?
yeah, yeah. I have a tendency to move far too quickly at the moment, like just physically. I've noticed it especially
Hmm.
in my kitchen for some reason, which is also the worst place to move quickly.
Yeah, that's not great.
I've broken a lot in the last year. And I'm not usually one that breaks things. Like for the majority of my life, I have not been one to break many things accidentally. However, in the last year, it has increased exponentially. I literally just chipped a bowl yesterday.
Of course.
And it's just like this constant reminder of being like, all right, breathe, slow down. I'm also going through the process of right now of trying to lower my blood pressure. My doctor at the end of the
Mhm.
last year, we realized that my blood pressure is far too high for what it should be. And it's stressing me out.
Mm.
And then that
Hmm.
also raises my blood pressure even further. And then I'm sitting there with the blood pressure machine on my arm and like raging against the numbers that's showing me.
Things that do not help your blood pressure.
Absolutely. And so it's just like, that's a constant practice for me right now of being like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be so focused on getting the vestiges of divergence.
Hmm.
Maybe I should be okay with spending a night in the mansion and kicking it with some refugees and helping them out and
Yeah.
fucking around with my friends. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Time to breathe makes it way easier to do life.
hmm Yeah. Even though I feel super productive when I'm speedy and getting a lot of things done, it's not good for my blood pressure.
Very, very true.
And then the little machine beeps at me and tells me that I'm about to die. I'm like,
Uh,
rude, rude.
yeah.
Yeah, well, if you have any tips for lowering blood pressure, let me know.
Yeah.
Hmm. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm good.
I wish there was like a magical item for blood pressure.
I wish there were magical items.
True story. True story. Well, this is powerful stuff that we're talking about. An audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and insights with us as well. We'd love to know how blood pressure has impacted you in your own lives. No, critical role. Special thanks to Alice for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Always happy to be here.
Next time, we'll be discussing Campaign 1, Episode 48, Part 2, and joining me again will be Atlas. I'm excited for that. As
Yeet.
always, I'm looking for more nerds, so if you want to come on and nerd out with me, please do let me know. In the meantime, please comment, like, subscribe below, follow us on Tumblr at Sacred Reading CR for all the juicy updates. And until next time, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be free, and be the chaotic good you wish to see in the world. Take care, guys.
Bye.